Picture this. I want to build for you a scene, but first, so you know what I mean, I need to clarify. I speak in rhyme not because I do it all the time, but as a way of getting your attention. This is not a convention, but a means of conveying to you a story unlike any Christmas story you've ever heard. And yet it's exactly like them all. Jingle bells deck the hall. We'll sing some carols. We'll sing them all. But first, I want to flip your conception of this holiday on its head. It isn't dead, but maybe our way of telling needs to be revived. You may experience some confusion, but confusion is a protrusion into our protective illusion that says that we already understand. Take my hand and hear me out. A revelation's about. Christmas, 1920. A baby is born. The nurses rejoice and the nurses mourn because her mother didn't make it. There was no father around, and after a search, none could be found, so the doctor held her in his arms and said, "She'll be mine." That was the final word. He kissed her nose, and the hospital heard him say, "Her name is Emily." And she grew up to be beautiful, rough around the edges, but invincible inside the hedges of the healer's protections. She had plenty, even in times of want, was never not inside the finest dresses. Her dark brown tresses were brushed and braided with care by a father who was always there. The leaves changed with the seasons. There were a million reasons to be glad for this man named Theo, who gave her all that he had. But she just called him Dad, and that was enough. But I want to be short on the telling and long in the listening, so there's 3 more things that I'd like you to know, so that the scene that we show, the seed that we sow, its message will glow. Number 1, all people grow, and Emily was no different. She grew up to a firm 17, never in need, but always looking around for something else. Number 2, Theo, her father, doctor to the adopted daughter, had a dream. He'd invented a medical machine, talked about it all the time, and dreamed of having it find a home in the States, to start a company and see it made. He longed to create. And finally, number 3, that Emily had always wanted to visit France, but her father wouldn't take her. He said it was dangerous.
One ticket for France, please. Thank you. Do you know anything about the postal service in Europe? Do they have intercontinental mailing and such for personal letters? Okay, thank you.
Dear Dad, I wish there was another way of doing this. I'll never forgive myself if you are angry with me, but I did what I feel I must, and I find myself asking for forgiveness where I would not have found permission. You won't find me at home. I didn't tell you about it, but I applied for a scholarship to that university in Paris. It's a way for me to see France. I've wanted to for so long. I got the scholarship, and I've already left. I know you forbade me from touring Europe, but it's 1937, Daddy. I want to see the world. I'm attaching an address for the school's administration. Please don't be angry. And if you can find it in your heart, I know you will. Please write to me, at least on Christmas, my birthday. I won't be gone forever, I promise. And I'm sorry. Merry Christmas. Love, Emily.
You amaze me, Theo. You finish one thing and start another. You get out of the service in what, 1915? And then you go to medical school. After 20 years in the practice, it's time to retire, and you do. And not 1 month later, you wrangle me into this fledgling business of yours. Theo! You okay?
I just came to get my mail.
Mail? The mail can wait till after the holidays. Come back to the party. It's Christmas Eve.
Emily was supposed to meet me here tonight.
She's out Christmas shopping. She'll be home for Christmas.
She's in France.
She might be a little late.
Yeah.
Well, okay, what's wrong with France?
It isn't safe, Jack. Don't you read the papers? The Great War was one thing, but there's another one coming. You mark my words.
Of course I read the papers. They say, peace in our time. War is obsolete.
I've got to write her back.
Well, you do what you have to do, but listen to this. Our business license is coming next week. That'll make you happy, huh?
Yes, Jack. That's great, Jack. But I'm a little preoccupied here, okay?
Sure. Sorry.
My dearest Emily, I would like to tell you that I'm not upset, but I am. We have so much good here, and it wasn't enough. Wealth, safety, friends, a beautiful home. And if that wasn't enough, I would have sent you anywhere else in the world that you wanted to go. But the one thing I forbid you to do, you did. I've warned you against going to Europe time and time again, and yet I find myself addressing an envelope to Paris. I love you, Emily. Even when you disobey me, I love you. More than I can put into words. You're my little girl. I can't protect you if you don't let me. If you run away, please forsake your scholarship and come home. Europe isn't safe, honey. I've been there. I spent years fighting a grisly war there, and I know the times. Please come home. And if you won't listen to my first instruction, at least listen to the second. You can never tell anyone that you're Jewish. Just a few months ago in Germany, Jewish shops were raided and vandalized. They're calling it Kristallnacht, the night of broken glass. I fear that greater violence is still coming. Do what you must, then return to Connecticut. Of course I will write to you. I'll write letters to you often. Please read them. Love, Dad.
One cup of coffee, please. Un café, s'il vous plaît. Merci. Bonjour. Oh. Well, that seems like a disproportionate response.
The French are insufferable, aren't they?
You know, at first I thought that one just had a bad cup of cafe, but now I'm starting to think they're all like that.
We are. I am one, so I should know.
Oh, no, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to.
Hello.
Hi. You're joking with me.
No, I really am French, and we really are insufferable. You're from the university too, no?
Yes, I am. Why don't you have an accent?
Because I learned your language in America. May we have a seat?
Yes, please.
Smoke?
No, thank you.
This is my friend Gunter. He's annoying, but sometimes he's funny, so I let him follow me around.
She just tells herself that to feel superior because she can't stomach her life otherwise.
It's true.
It is.
Well, it's nice to meet you both. My name is Emily.
So you're at the university?
Yes, you too?
Yeah, I transferred from Berlin. My father thinks it'll improve my French.
Gunter and I were just leaving to go to the park and throw rocks at pigeons. Want to come?
You're gonna what?
She's coming.
But you can do better than that, Thompson. No, you can. I really need this. Can't you knock off a couple weeks? You gave it to Nichols. Oh, that's exactly what I'm hoping for. Yes. Is that a yes? Thompson? That sounded like a yes. Thompson said yes. We're going to get the steal in half the time.
Attaboy.
Okay, Thompson. Yeah, that's great. Okay, thanks again. Okay, goodbye. Let's see now. Okay, if Mr. Morris comes through, that's going to give us a lot of breathing room.
This is incredible. You're not going to believe it.
Well, you're going to have to tell me first.
Hugo and Charlie, they want to invest.
Is this happening?
This is happening.
We're going to build a factory.
We are going to build a factory. And the way that first prototype turned out, it's not a surprise that they will help us out.
Wait a minute. I got a letter here.
Hugo, am I alone here? Theo? I thought we were having a conversation.
Dear Dad, I'm sorry it's been so long since I've written. I've gotten all of your letters and I've carefully studied each one. I've practically memorized them. Paris is wonderful. It's only been a year, but it already feels like home. Paris is such an international city. I'm meeting interesting people from all over the world. Students mostly. Classes are good but challenging. I had a research paper for art history, and they sent me to the Louvre, Daddy. I'm glad to hear all is going well for your company. I know it has always been your dream. I'm finding my dream too. Love, Emily.
Theo, you look concerned.
Shh.
Emily, my love, I'm glad that your classes are going well, and I'm glad that you got to go visit such a great museum. Our company has submitted plans for our manufacturing facility. I'm told it could take a year or two before we break ground, but it was very exciting. I wish you had been here to see the first prototype for the ambulation device. You would have been so excited. I'm worried about you. You're my daughter, and it's my job to love you and to protect you, and I see you in a precarious place. The papers are full of talk about Germany's alliance with Italy. Things were bad enough with the fascists, but Germany's Nazis seem restless. Anything could happen where you are. Please come home. But I know you will not likely heed my request. At least, please hear me in this. You must create an emergency escape plan in the event that things go badly. Figure out a way to leave at a moment's notice. Heaven forbid that you need such a plan, but you might. I miss seeing your lovely face. Merry Christmas, Emily. Love, Dad.
Is that another letter from your dad?
Yes. I only read them on Christmas, though. It's sort of a tradition.
I wish I got letters.
Do either one of you have some sort of emergency escape plan?
No.
That sounds stupid.
Yeah, I thought so too. My dad keeps suggesting it, though, because I'm Jewish. Like that means anything.
What did you just say?
I said it doesn't matter.
No, about being Jewish.
I am, so?
You should be extremely careful who you tell that to, Emily. Some people would find that really interesting.
It's not my problem.
It's a thing of beauty, Theo. And it works even better than you said it was going to work.
You know, I wouldn't be surprised if FDR himself bought one of these.
Why would you say that? You make it sound like he's got trouble walking. Why would you say that? Like, you think it sounds like he's got polio.
Oh,
Theo!
what do we got? What do we got? It's been 10 months since I've gotten a letter. Look.
Dear Dad, you worry too much. These are exciting times, not dangerous ones. A war of ideas is going on, and it's invigorating. One of my friends from the art school told me she's a fascist in theory. It's harmless, and it's interesting to learn about other philosophies. Healthy debate is the cornerstone of free society, Daddy. I'm not coming home just because people are passionate. I'm meeting my friend Sarah for lunch, so I'll keep this letter brief. Love, Emily.
Oh, why is she so stubborn, Jack? Will she ever learn?
Theo.
What? What is it? No. No!
They invaded Poland, Theo.
I saw that.
The Nazis broke the treaty.
I knew it. I knew it.
You were right. It's going to be a war.
Run this down to the post service. See it gets sent out today. Run!
Emily, something has happened. Even across the ocean, I can sense it. Come home. Drop everything and come home. It is safe here. We have provisions. We are protected. You're in danger where you are now. I don't know if you've heard, but being closer to the action, I can't imagine you to be unaware. The Nazis have invaded another nation. Aggressive diplomacy has turned into tangible acts of war. The German people have long feared the French to the west and the Russians to the east. I do not think it will be long until they come for Paris. Come home. That is an order. Do not delay 1 day, 1 hour, 1 second. I've enclosed enough money to comfortably transport you home. Use it to buy passage on a Roi de la Mer boat. Come home. It might not be too late if you act this instant. Come home. Love, Dad.
Sarah, I haven't seen you since the school closed down.
Yes, well, life's been harder.
I've been thinking about leaving. I don't know, maybe not.
Leaving?
No, it's just, with the fighting in Poland, maybe my dad's right. Maybe war is starting.
Emily, listen to me. These are uncertain times, but it's still a war of ideas. You cannot go. Even if the Nazis do come to France, Hitler's not such a bad man. Maybe it would be good for us. Paris is home, no?
My dad does tend to overreact, but I felt uneasy lately.
Your father, yes, come. Sit here and write him a letter. You don't do that much, but it always makes you feel better. Write him and tell him you are staying, then it will be a reality.
I really don't want to leave Paris.
Then you must stay. Tell him.
Dear Dad, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that everything is fine. They've shut down classes and people seem very nervous. I've been broke for some time now since the scholarship stopped when the university did. Thanks for the money. But what if school opens again? I don't want to miss it. I've grown attached to Paris, even if it has swallowed me up and spit me out. People argue about Germany. Some people say that the Axis is wise and good, but others are afraid, saying that it is dangerous. I don't care anymore. Life has not been easy this past year. I might have to leave soon, like you say, but for just a little while longer, I've decided to stay in France. Pray for me. The world has become a terrific mess. Love, Emily.
They're here! They're here! I can float!
Gunter, over here, quickly! They've attacked, Gunter. Gunter, what do we do?
I have an idea. Heil, come into here.
Gunter, stop. What are you doing, Gunter?
No, trust me.
Gunter, what are you doing?
Wait. Es ist ein Jude. The Jude is here.
No!
You should see that this is sent, soldier.
We can't send that.
You're right. We'll just revise a little. Here. At least we could send her last letter for her.
She got away.
It's okay. I know where she lives. Dear Dad, everything is fine. Thanks for the money. School opens again. I don't want to miss it. I've grown attached to Paris. The Axis is wise and good. Life has been easy this past year. I've decided to stay in France. The world has become terrific. Love, Emily.
Theo, I thought we'd reached our limit, but I have even more good news. The governor is coming to the groundbreaking ceremony, and his aide says there's going to be a government contract. Now that means big money, doesn't it? Even more than we already have rolling in.
We're not doing it.
Yeah, very funny. Theo, you got that look on your face like when you're not kidding. What do you mean we're not doing it? The groundbreaking ceremony?
We're not doing any of it.
Any of what?
The manufacturing, the company, the contracts, we're not doing any of it. Or you can do it. Or sell it to some other company. Or give it away. I don't care. I'm leaving.
Like heck you're leaving. You've been talking about this your whole life. You started talking about it in college. This is about Emily, isn't it? Theo, there's nothing you can do. I know they invaded France, but they'll be okay, won't it? There's certainly nothing you can do. I mean, how would you get there? It's not like Pan Am was making flights.
I'll bribe my way onto a cargo plane or sneak onto a ship. I'll join the British Army if I have to.
You can't be serious. Theo, I've seen your portfolio, and as impressive as it is, without you here to manage it, you'll lose everything, Theo. You lose everything. What are you doing?
Goodbye, Jack.
Goodbye? Where are you going? Theo, where are you going?
I'm going to get my daughter back.
I know what you're thinking. That was the weirdest Christmas service I've ever seen. But what does it mean that David did not understand Nathan's story at first either? It didn't take him long. Christmas is a song, one that we always sing. Gifts and packages with blinks, sweet sugary foods that we regret after, a decorated tree and laughter, something about family and lights, and if we're extra religious, we might even say something like Jesus is the best Christmas gift ever. And that last part is true. But I think for many of you, it's difficult to make the connection to a baby in a manger because our ears have grown dull. The world is a war. We're all battle sore, wounded, afflicted, sometimes bruised and winded, and this is the backdrop against which Christmas is painted. But the picture is faded. Why are the most famous military attacks of history so often on Christmas? Washington crossing the Delaware, you're well aware of the Tet Offense. Is this making sense? This St. Crispin's Day or on Christmas Day, many a Yuletide morning has seen men rushing into war, invading the enemy's position. But are we listening? It can't be by chance. You see, that 17-year-old girl is you. Pretends to hear her father, but doubts whether anything he says is true. Returning to sin time and time again, creeping in are feelings of doubt without which her situation is simply a continuation of what the world says is right, with a Christian label slapped on tight. But Jesus said to follow him. I am that 17-year-old girl, and so are you. In a mess because I refuse to be blessed by accepting my Father's invitation into His presence, where His love is all that I need. Surrounded by trouble, doubling on the double, and my Father keeps sending me advice that I don't read. Except maybe once a year, because it's a tradition. Why are you here? Because you always go to church on Christmas? Because Mom made you go? Even if this is your reason, especially though, I'm glad that you're here, but this is not just another year. I'm here to tell you that Christmas is not about relaxation. It was an invasion. A military event designed to unwind the binds that we had wrapped around ourselves, behind enemy lines, only to find that we're miserable, going nowhere, lost and out of time. That picture we just saw with the dad and the girl, I'm here to tell you that that is Christmas. He came for you. God's constantly writing letters. You can pick up a Bible anytime. Church services got you turning around on a dime. God's constantly reaching out to you, but you only bother to listen to what He says once a year. You get one letter a year on Christmas, and usually you ignore it, but this time, please be sincere and hear what the true meaning of Christmas is. He came for you. And if you're sitting in your seat thinking that this isn't me, then it is. And I'm talking to you. It's true. They say don't break the fourth wall, but I've already broken it into 1,000 pieces. I've got my reasons. Maybe you come once a month, maybe every day, but if you doubt the goodness of God, then let me preach to your heart. This is where we need to start. Your own mistakes put you in danger, but He came for you. In the form of a baby lying in a manger, He came for you. He gave up everything, wealth in heaven, honor, respect, and renown, because He loves you that much that nothing else was good enough to keep Him from coming. He put on a human body, born of a virgin. I know you know the story. He came to rescue us because we wouldn't listen to His prophets. And so He came for you. Like Liam Neeson in Taken, couldn't keep Him away from you. He came for you, He came for you, He came for you, He came for you. And He came holding adoption papers. This scene preceding was a metaphor. God doesn't have a business partner. He isn't from Connecticut, and He certainly doesn't need to call in favors. But I can tell you for sure, He gave it all up to come for you because He loves you. That's the meaning of Christmas. He came for you.
Give it up one more time for those guys. That was Wes right here, and he wrote that play. I want to invite the band up here. We're gonna close this service in worship, but just real quick, I have a question. How many of you guys came in here a little worn out from this Christmas season? Am I the only one? Like I just need to go hibernate after Christmas tomorrow. And I have one more question. You can settle a debate between my wife and I. How many of you guys wrap stocking stuffers? Anybody wrap stocking stuffers? That's a horrible idea. And it's just one of the very, 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 very many reasons that I need to hibernate after this. Because Christmas has just become a blur of so many different things that are competing for our attention and competing for a space in our lives. I found myself 2 nights ago at Macy's at 11 o'clock at night shopping because that was the only time I could fit it into my schedule. We were driving around looking at Christmas lights the other night, and my wife turns to me and she says, "Does Snoopy have something to do with Christmas?" And because we saw like 10 houses in a row with Snoopy, some variation of Snoopy on their house. And that is why we're doing the service how we are tonight. We want to try to just get back to what is the simple essence of Christmas. What is the simplicity of really why are we here tonight? What is it that we're really celebrating? And to understand Christmas, the very first thing you have to understand is Emily. In fact, you can't appreciate or even celebrate Christmas unless you understand Emily. She broke her father's rules. She thought she knew better, but she didn't. And ultimately, she wound up trapped behind enemy lines in more trouble and more danger than she could ever imagine. The Bible says in Isaiah 53:6, all of us like sheep have gone astray. Each of us has turned his own way. God has given us commandments to protect us, to keep us safe, And every single one of us in this room have broken those commandments and transgressed them. All of us have gone our own way, and all of us have found ourselves in bondage to sin, slaves. And in going our own way, we have found ourselves trapped behind enemy lines without any hope for escape. But it's only in understanding this predicament that you can really appreciate Christmas. Because the other half of Christmas is Theo, Emily's father. He understood his daughter was in danger. He understood that she was trapped because of her own rebellion, but he was willing to give up everything and go rescue her. And Jesus was willing to give up everything to come to earth and give his life as a sacrifice for us. Philippians 2, 6-8, though he was God, he did not think of equality with God as something to cling to. Instead, he gave up his divine privileges. He took the humble position of a slave and was born as a human being. When he appeared in human form, he humbled himself in obedience to God. That's what makes the incarnation so incredible. Jesus in heaven was willing to give up everything he had to come to earth to rescue us. Galatians 4:4-7 says, but when the fullness of time had come, God sent forth his Son, born of a woman, born under the law, to redeem those who were under the law, so that we might receive adoption as sons. And because you are sons and daughters, God has sent the Spirit of his Son into our hearts, crying out, Abba, Father. So you are no longer a slave to sin, but a son. And if a son, then you're an heir through God. Jesus came to save us. And so, because God was born in a manger 2,000 years ago as a little baby boy, you and I can be rescued from our brokenness and our hopelessness and our sinfulness. And that really means two things for us in here. That means if you've been redeemed by the blood of Jesus, you have had your sins washed clean, and you have become a son or a daughter of God, that means celebration. That means what we're doing tonight in singing praise to his name, and what we're going to do tomorrow in exchanging gifts with each other and enjoying our lives in praising him is that God has rescued us. But even as I'm saying that, there's some people out there, you are in your sin. You haven't believed in Jesus. You might know about him, but you haven't trusted him with your life. And I just want to say that tonight, please, this Christmas, turn to him. Seek him, and he'll forgive your sins. Let's stand up and let's worship the King.